Yeah, baby!
Yeah!
Come on!
Absolutely thrilled. Nice, fun, special episode.
Right?
This is gonna be cool because this is also our first Skype interview.
Wow.
Our first Skype video where we can actually see the person.
What an honor for this person.
for us to be able to see him as we interview him, but he cannot see us.
We're gracing you with our own eyes.
So we're super, super thrilled. So thank you so much for listening. But so coming up this next week will be the Kicking and Screening Festival.
That's right.
That we always attend. We always have an absolute blast.
We're always a part of somehow. We get in there.
Exactly. Yeah. Whether they want us there or not.
That's right. We show up like, yo, we here now.
So,
Where's the green room?
But the Kicking and Screening Film Festival, if you haven't attended, we've been there the last 3 years. It's super, super fun. It is movies, films, and soccer at a film festival. I don't know of any other place in the world that does this, and it's just super cool. It's going to be the 11th year
That's insane.
that they're doing it.
A festival for just soccer, movies, and content. Type
Yes,
stuff.
and we've seen just incredible films. Remember last year we saw American Football
Yeah,
and
that's
Messi and Me and all these other ones. They do amazing
Yet
work.
no one's asked us to be in a movie yet.
Well, what? I mean, this guy's been the HQ host. How could you? The
Yeah.
resume is clearly
I
there.
mean, done. The balls in this industry, let me tell you. But anyway, enough about us. This guy's absolutely amazing. He produced this dope movie, which is going to be a part of Kicking and Screening. Also a writer for F is for Family. So speaking of comedy.
Oh, that's right. Bill
Right?
Burr's F is for Family.
That's right. So, I mean, shouts to us for mentioning that. But of course, guys, unless you're driving, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one, the only, Joe Heslinga, everybody.
Hey, Joe.
Yo, what's going on, guys? How are you?
Good.
bad.
Thank you so much for joining us, man. This is it's an honor. It's nice to be able to see the guest, and we can actually see how we're making you feel. Because usually when we talk to people,
Yeah, I can't see you guys, though.
Exactly.
I'm just staring at a blue wall right now.
That's right. Well,
And
if you were
myself.
looking at us, you would be too enthralled. You know what it is?
Too distracted by our
Right.
beauty. But no, this is we're happy to have you here because so you directed a documentary called Foosballers, right?
Right, that's
and so I watched some of the film, and we, if you haven't seen the trailer, it is it's pretty clear what it's about, right? It is about professional foosballers, and this is an industry that I was not really aware kind of existed, but I'm not surprised by. But the one thing is that the first thing that I noticed that I was taken aback by was how insanely good some of these foosballers are. Because for me, the game, I play foosball once in a while, and I play for 10 minutes, my wrists hurt, and I'm like, I can't do this
I
anymore.
go about our day. You go back to the bar, you know?
Right,
But these
yeah.
guys have made a life out of this game.
What was it like interacting with these professional foosballers?
Well, for one, they're super, super awesome people to hang out with. So, like, on a personal level, it was super chill. But they're insane at foosball. Like, it blew me away. Like, probably like you guys, I've played a couple times. Like, all I knew is that you couldn't spin the rods, and that was it. And then these guys are drawing diagrams on their table, like going through like a million different passes and shots and just strategy. And I mean, I was completely blown away. I had no idea that it existed, and definitely not at that level. Like, you go to a foosball table at a bar and it's like you see people tinkering around, and then these guys show up. You can hear when they take a shot, like across the room, like in your chest. You can feel it. It's insane.
There's this one in the trailer specifically, but the movie begins with this gentleman with long hair, and his name escapes me
Tony,
now.
Tony.
Yeah, Tony Spreedeman.
Yeah, Spreeman. He lifts the ball up using two different sort of players, and
Yep.
then he drops it and volleys it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's
It's called an
legal?
aerial. No, so it used to be illegal. You used to not be able to do it. I think it was legal in the 90s, and then they outlawed it. And then they just announced like 2 weeks ago that starting, I think, at the national tournament in a couple weeks, it's going to be a legal shot now. So now everyone's like freaking out trying to do this shot. Because
Whoa.
basically you can pass it, you clear the ball up to your forward, and then you can hit it in. You can score it too, but it's mostly like if the guy blocks it, it goes right to your 3-bar, and then you get, you have your shot.
Hold on, headers are allowed in foosball now?
Yeah. There's a dude.
Someone get me an Alan Gordon figurine for my foosball table.
There's a cool video online. I think Will Stranks from Edmonton, he does an aerial, and then he actually kicks it up to his foot, and then he heads it into the goal. And I don't know what you search for. I'll send it to you guys later. But it's like it blew me away when I saw it. I was like, how the fuck did he even do that?
Well, now this is not just foosball. This is extreme foosball, right?
Yeah.
Like they're really
like
People are
these
gonna
guys
break the wrists. You know?
Yeah.
One of my favorite things, you said outlaw. That was outlawed, and I was gonna make fun of that. But after your explanation, that's an appropriate term. I mean,
yeah. It's funny, like going into this, I had no idea that foosball was played at this level. Didn't know that they had professional tournaments. It dates all the way back to the 70s. And you talk to a lot of the old players in the 70s, and they all shoot what's called a pull shot. And it was late 80s, early 90s, they developed a new shot called the rollover or the snake shot. And when you do it, it almost looks like a spin, and you're not allowed to spin the rods. And a lot of the old school players think that the rollover is a spin shot. And the technical rule is you're not allowed to spin the rod 360 degrees. But what you do is you pin the ball. So by the time you hit it, you're only hitting it 340 degrees. So it's kind of it's a legal shot, but all the old school players are like, oh, I want to outlaw that. Like there's actually a guy who does tournaments in California and throughout the country. His name's Brendan Flaherty. He owns Warrior Table Soccer. And at his tournaments, they've outlawed the rollover. So it's no joke, man. These guys are serious.
they're bringing out compasses and stuff. They're like, we're gonna figure out angles here.
Yep.
Is there any performance enhancing drugs that are being used all of a sudden?
I don't know. I think back in the day there was definitely some performance enhancing drugs, but today it seems like it's cleaned up a little bit. So.
Well, let me ask you, Joe, what do you consider yourself? Because you write, you've done some other stuff, you've produced a bunch, you've directed in the past. What do you consider yourself first and foremost?
That's a great question, man. I don't know. People ask me, like, introduce myself. I'm like, my name's Joe. I don't even say my last name. So I'm like, But I don't know. I write, direct, produce. Like, I just like to create shit. So, like, making a movie, like, we did this all ourselves. Like I edited the whole thing in my dining room, in my apartment. So I'm, I guess, an editor. I also write on Evis for Family. So I'm a writer. I've produced stuff. So I don't know. I'm just a dude who likes to make stuff.
Was this story presented to you? I mean, how did you, in between writing for a big, huge cartoon that's on Netflix and all this other stuff you do, how did you come about? Because, I mean, I've never heard of professional foosballers, and we're in the soccer world.
Totally. So me and my buddy, Mike Wagstaff, we have written together for years. We were talking about like ideas for TV shows. And he was like, obscure sports that aren't on TV might be a fun thing to explore. So we're like, oh yeah, I bet you they even have like professional foosball. So it started as like me just searching professional foosball. And all of a sudden, like all these videos came up, hundreds of thousands of views. And we're like, dude, what? Like this exists. And then it literally turned into like, 6 hours later in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., I'm like still researching this stuff. They have like a World Table Soccer Almanac that's like 600 pages that like, okay, this is like, they have a 600-page book about table soccer. Like this is crazy. So it started as this like internet rabbit hole, like deep dive. And I've literally been in it for like 3 years. Just like this movie is a result of just going down these rabbit holes and just,
I'm curious because one of my favorite parts was the sort of the history of foosball and how it started and like that the first like you kind of go through the background and like that first patent and how the it was English, right? It was England that first patent existed.
Yeah, the first patent for that, but it's kind of murky, like the whole history of it. There's places all kind of throughout Europe that claim to have been the origin of foosball. So like there's places in Spain and Italy, like guys who all kind of around the same time. So it's not like that was the first patent, but
there's like Christopher Columbus saying he discovered America, but there were people here, It's
right. Exactly.
Similar. I'm sure similar weight in history as well.
Yeah.
But what the interesting part was when foosball was introduced to the United States, right? Where like it didn't seem like the concern was, the game is great, but Americans don't really like soccer. Like it's not really a significant part of the culture. So in your like research, was there anything like what was the connection between soccer and foosball and how they were going to like market it here?
So I think here like, yeah, you're right. Soccer's not as big here. It's much bigger in Europe and overseas. But here it was always a coin-operated sport in bars and game rooms, and it became like this culture. You would find it a lot in like frats, in their basements or bars and stuff. So like there was always a connection to soccer, but here in the States, it wasn't like soccer nuts were going to go play foosball because it was, a game they loved. They liked it because of that sort of, hippie culture in the 60s and 70s that just bred for a new type of game that was fun.
Yeah, it's a little bro-y here because it's like sports bars, colleges and stuff.
Totally. Well, and I'm not going to spoil the movie, but, one of the first world champions to ever play foosball, he started at his frat in Boulder, so like the whole.
That sentence is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, isn't it? It's crazy. Like, if you were to tell me 3 years ago that, hey, pro foosball exists, I'd be like, well, no, you're joking. And then like in my head, I'd be like, what is a bunch of like, stoners who in Colorado who are playing? And like, yeah, like there might be people who smoke pot and play foosball, but it is actually a part of the history. Like this dude was in a frat in Colorado, and in his basement they got a foosball table, and he just got insanely good.
Isn't one dude in the film runs like a dispensary also, right? He's like he's like a pot king.
Yeah, all of this makes sense.
but the thing is like he grows marijuana and has a dispensary, but he's insanely talented at what he does. Like he doesn't just like grow pot, like he grows the best pot in the world.
Sure.
He's next level at what he does.
That's the one thing that stood out to me was that these professional foosballers are not the type of people you would think were professional foosballers. You know what I mean? Like they don't fit any real stereotype. One guy's a doctor, right? He's a damn doctor, and his whole family.
Chief of anesthesia, and he doesn't smoke, drink, none of that. He plays foosball. He's like one of the most like hyper energetic, fun-loving guys you'll ever meet. And he's like, he told me, he's like, I sleep maybe like 4 or 5 hours a day. I'm always afraid I'm going to miss out on something. Like it was just the level of success that the guy has. He's just, foosball players are all like wired differently, like than I think the rest of the population. Like they're just in tune with just not just their own competition, but like just succeeding at whatever they put their mind to.
Yeah, I would say even the level of intricacy and detail in the game, where again, when I play foosball, I'm like literally just trying to get it just a little close to the goal.
Just like, don't let my wife beat me in this game. That's my mentality.
Is it? But I do, like you were saying, that they diagram the on the actual table, and then there's also they approach it very much the way soccer coaches approach soccer. I mean, with that, I there's no difference between watching Pep Guardiola give a team talk and then these foosball guys. They're like legit. They're like
no difference whatsoever.
Not one.
Not one. I dare you to tell me a difference.
It was that impressive to me.
Yeah, no, it's incredible, and not just like. The angles and hitting it with that much precision is one thing, but then you're incorporating a random factor, whoever your opponent is. So wherever you have to anticipate like 5 moves ahead, like how they're playing defense against you, and whether you're gonna, if you have the ball on your 2-rod, if you're gonna pass it or you're gonna shoot it. It's a million things are going through their heads at once. Like I can watch it and kind of follow, but I don't even know where to begin as far as where they're thinking.
Did you ever play any one of these guys or girls?
Oh yeah, like they smoked me. Like there's in the movie a 14-year-old girl who absolutely murdered me. Like and she could have been playing blindfolded and would have murdered me. Like they're that good, and that's the thing that like I thought I was good. I used to like play with my little brother and like I could beat him, and I was like, oh man, like foosball is like not that hard. And then you see. Even the worst player at a tournament is better than 99.9% of people who have ever played. Like they're just, yeah. You just have to see it to believe it.
Do you think? Would you ever have a dream of? Did you get better? Do you think you'll ever go pro? Is this something you want to?
I would love to play more, but living in LA, like I don't have a table, and in order to even get close to a competitive level, you have to practice. I mean, these guys practice by themselves like 8 hours a day.
How much is a
If you
foosball
can
table?
imagine.
A foosball table was like $500, right?
If you want, like, yeah, they have, starting as low as like 200, but if you want to play on the one that they play on tour, which is a Tornado, that's like 1,300, $1,700.
Okay.
Jesus.
You know what?
So, yeah, like they're legit. They're
I don't
legit.
need
And
a car. I'm good.
Yeah. Check out the
Totally,
drip.
right?
You want to come to my basement?
Yep.
So I'm curious, because you made a documentary, and documentarians tend to sort of get very emotionally invested in like the characters that you're filming.
Their
people.
subjects.
Their subject. You're following them
Right.
around for a long time. Is there anybody that kind of stood out to you as far as like even outside of foosball, like that their story was like very touching?
I would say everyone had a touching story. On a friendship level, I'm friends with all these people now. The term like documentary subject always felt very weird and clinical. It's like, yeah, I'm a documentary filmmaker, I guess, but like I'm also just a dude who likes to talk to other people and make friends. So they're all my friends now. But as far as like someone who had a touching story, I would say Cindy Head was probably the person that her story struck with me the most. And I don't want to give too much away, but she has been playing for 40 plus years, and she's tough as nails on a foosball table. She's a retired cop from Alabama, but off the table she's like the sweetest person. And just hearing her story, overcoming adversity and finding sort of what saved her life was foosball. And if you say that to someone, that sounds like a ridiculous sentence, like foosball saved my life. But for some people, it did, and
That sounds
it's
like the
become
plot of
their
a
life.
movie with a talking dog in it.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
You're like,
It doesn't seem
what?
like a cop from Alabama.
Right. But it's true, and like when and that was my experience making the movie. It's like all this stuff sounded too surreal, and then when you meet the people, it really changed my perspective. It was like, these are real people who care deeply about this, and it's become their whole life. They dedicate their lives to it. Some of them do it professionally. That's their only source of income. Others play it on a professional level, but they have jobs to support themselves. They have families. So it's not just a hobby. It literally is a way of life. For a lot of these
and also in the film, there's a comedian in there, Kelsey Cook, who's who we know. I did a show with her when she was in New York a couple, maybe like last year sometime.
Which she has a show on All Things Comedy, which is owned by Bill Burr, and you write for F is for Family. So there's a nice little...
Right.
It's all connected.
Right?
All
Carol.
And the funny thing is her mom, the way I even met Kelsey was her mom wrote the World Table Soccer Almanac.
That's
So
insane.
when I was like, up in the middle of the night researching all this foosball stuff, I came across the book, and it was written by Kathy Brainerd, and I started talking to her and emailing, and she's like, oh, my daughter Kelsey is a comic in LA, and and she's also like an insanely good foosball player and could kick all of our asses, in a second. I mean, you saw it in her videos. She's just really good.
And the fact that this is why it's amazing that there seems to be so many connections between, look, even foosball, soccer, comedy. The one thing we always deal with is like, we're two comedians who talk about soccer. All of our comedy peers make fun of us for what we've invested our lives in, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But why are you talking about soccer?
But when you said I'm gonna make a foosball documentary, what did the F is for Family writers' room say?
They were stoked, man. They're like, oh, that sounds. They all laughed. Like when I tell anybody I'm making a movie about professional foosball, they think it's hilarious. They're like, oh, that's funny.
But that's also because weed is legal in California.
That's a big
Yeah. But then they saw the trailer that we did. We did a Kickstarter trailer, like when we first tried to raise money, and they saw like, well, this is pretty dope, So they were always, supportive. But yeah, it's a weird thing. They're like, foosball. Like,
I want to give you some credit because just watching part of the movie and watching the trailer, and this probably I think you're too close to it to understand what I'm going to say. You give it this sort of level of prestige and honor. You give it the seriousness. And I'm sure you're like, what are you talking about? It should be. But to us, foosball seems like a kind of a silly thing sometimes. But you go at it the same way you would like someone is finding a lost Picasso,
Yes.
Totally. But we wanted to give it like the ESPN 30 for 30 style treatment, you know?
100%.
Like it's super easy to take something that at the surface sounds jokey and make it a joke. So we're like, you know, why not make a serious movie? Because, you know, at the end of the day, like the movie does have heart and it does, you know, resonate with people in a different way than just a comedy would. But like, let's do it serious, you know, and let's, you know, play it for what it is. You know, there's a bunch of comedy in the movie, but, you know, it's not just a comedy. Like we really did our research. Like it's never been covered in any, you know, on TV or in the news. Like it's always been like, you know, a paragraph article, like at the back of the newspaper, if it's ever in the media. So we wanted to like, all right, we're going to make a foosball movie. Let's do it right. Let's not just have the funny moments and the quirky moments, but let's like actually do our research and see who are the, you know, legends of foosball, you know, and let's get them in the movie, you know, let's travel all around the country and in the world and get everybody that we can who's, you know, been a world champion in the movie. So that's what we did.
Wow.
So as American soccer fans, ESPN has failed us more than once, okay? But I would like to stress that this seems pretty dope. This is something that I think could be on ESPN. Meanwhile, ESPN sometimes shows CrossFit competitions, okay?
Right.
Sometimes they show guys picking up rocks and putting them on taller pieces of wood. And this is what's on ESPN.
Thrilling TV. I love it.
There's the cornhole, cup stacking, like all that stuff is on TV. And I was actually surprised that nobody had like tried to do something more with foosball, because it's like it's way more advanced than cornhole. You know, like not to say those guys aren't good, but you know.
Please make a movie about professional cornholers.
I would love to. I'd love to.
No, you know what? On this show, we can shit on cornholers.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with that.
We moved up the totem pole at least one slot from cornholers, right?
Well, Joe, thank you again for joining us. Let people know about Kicking and Screening and where they can watch the film being screened.
Sure. So we're going to be opening night at the Kicking and Screening Film Festival June 4th at 7 p.m. I'm going to be there. We're going to have 3 of our cast who are also world champion foosball players there. We're going to have a foosball table at the venue. So come early. We're going to get there about 6 o'clock. They're going to be doing foosball demos, meet and greets. Like Tony, who's in the movie, who's one of the best. He's in our teaser trailer. He'll play people with one hand and just completely destroy them. He'll be there, you know, taking on challengers if you want to play him one-handed.
Do you think us two?
I think if us two played him with one hand, I think we'd beat him.
Not a chance.
You think the both of us?
Both
of us versus one guy.
4-point lead, and probably blindfold, and he could probably school everybody.
Whoa,
Yo, we need to do this.
All right, Tony, we're coming after you, Tony.
Yeah, all right, Tony. You better work on that one hand a little bit.
Okay, cool. Well, so you guys, if you're listening to this or watching, you can go to kickingandscreening.com to get tickets. The event is held all week from June 4th through June 7th at the Scandinavia House. We'll be there maybe a couple of days. I don't know which in particular, but we're going to be there for this. It's always really, really fun. So go to kickingandscreening.com to get tickets. And you can get to meet everybody like in soccer as well. A lot of people come through. You can take photos with your favorite foosballer. You know, you never know. So make sure you do that. Kickingandscreening.com. Joe, thank you so much for joining us on the show, man. It really means a lot.
And where can people follow you so they can see your next few projects? Are you on social media?
Yeah, at Joe Heslinga, JoeHeslinga. So.
Very cool.
All right, Joe. Thank you so much, man. Take care.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Wow.
Joe was incredible. Joe Heslinga, everybody.
People probably thought we were going to make fun of foosball, but if you watch just the trailer, you're like, you're intrigued.
Have you listened to the show? We do not mock or make fun of anybody.
Not at all. If anything, we revere everybody for how they get to be part of our lives.
No, but thank you again, Joe Heslinga. It's awesome to find, again, like these overlaps in comedy and soccer and even foosball and all this stuff.
Dude,
like
it exists out there.
We're trying our best to merge all these worlds together.
We will wedge these worlds together, whether you like it or not.
All right, just a square peg and round hole. We'll make it work.
Right. Give me some sandpaper.
So thank you again, Joe, for joining us.
Absolutely.
Again, a reminder, kickingandscreening.com. We'll be there. Get tickets. The films that they screen are just absolutely awesome. We had an absolute blast last year.
And it's a fun time every night. Like,
and it's like open bar and fun. And it's like, man, chill.
It's a good time.
All right, Scandinavia House, kickingandscreening.com. go get tickets. So thank you again for listening. Make sure you leave a review, subscribe, all that fun
5
stuff.
stars. Join Gully Squad so we can do more of these extra episodes.
Exactly. SoccerCooligans.com/Gully Squad. Help and support the show. So, with that said, my name is Christian Polanco.
I'm Alexis Guerrero.
And together, what are we? The Cooligans!
What's up? It's the world champion, Judah Friedlander, and you're watching the Cooligans. Why? Because you're cool. This is what winners look like right here, man.
I mean, you're looking at us.
Right now with my legs, I just juggled the ball 80,000 times.
You missed it.
Yeah.
He's been playing keepy uppy since I met him.
Yep, look faster, guys.
Go Team USA.